Are you happy Karmelo Anthony is home? Well, you a sick motherfucker. Every last one of y'all. Yes, I'm very much aware I'm black. I'm very much aware Karmelo Anthony is black. There's something wrong with y'all. Y'all defending a red rum. It don't matter what's going on.
Outrage is sweeping across the nation tonight after shocking new developments in the Karmelo Anthony case. As public fury intensifies, it's now been confirmed that Anthony is preparing to turn himself in to authorities, and leaked footage has only fanned the flames. The video, which has quickly gone viral, allegedly shows no signs of self-defense, contradicting the narrative some initially believed. Now the question everyone is asking is, if you were in Karmelo Anthony's position, would you fight the charges, surrender immediately, or try to defend yourself publicly? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Tensions are especially high as the footage paints a chilling picture. Not of a man protecting himself, but of an aggressive, calculated act that many say could have been avoided. Calls for justice have exploded across social media, with activists, public figures, and outraged citizens demanding immediate accountability. Karmelo Anthony's name, once only whispered about, is now at the center of a national conversation on violence, responsibility, and consequences. Stay tuned, because what comes next could change everything. The leaked video has now become the undeniable centerpiece of the Karmelo Anthony case, and it's sending shockwaves across the country. What was once whispered in online forums and debated in heated comment sections has now become brutally clear to anyone who's seen the footage. Frame by frame, it dismantles the early claims that Anthony acted out of fear or in self-defense. Instead, the video captures a chilling portrayal of a man who appears neither afraid nor cornered, but disturbingly calm, deliberate, and in control. There is no visible struggle for survival, no last-ditch effort to escape danger. Instead, what viewers are witnessing feels eerily cold and methodical. It's this visual evidence that is rapidly shifting public sentiment. People who were once willing to give Anthony the benefit of the doubt are now turning against him, some expressing outright disgust that the situation was even framed as self-defense to begin with. Witness testimonies are now surfacing, and they align far more closely with what the video shows, rather than the narrative Anthony's camp initially tried to spin. Several bystanders, emboldened by the footage going public, have come forward to describe the scene as one-sided and aggressive, not chaotic or defensive. Their accounts only reinforce what many see with their own eyes. A man taking decisive, devastating action, without hesitation or apparent fear for his own life. The announcement that Karmelo Anthony plans to surrender sparked an immediate and visceral reaction from the public, especially from the Black Lives Matter movement and other social justice organizations. The outrage wasn't just directed at Anthony himself, but at the entire system that seemed poised once again to drag its feet when confronted with clear evidence of wrongdoing. For many activists, the fact that Anthony wasn't immediately arrested when the video surfaced represents a glaring double standard. Comparisons began flooding social media, highlighting countless cases where individuals were swiftly detained, often without video evidence, based on far less damning allegations. The hashtag #JusticeForVictim name here began trending within hours, fueled by voices demanding accountability and swift action. Emotions are running high, with organized protests already beginning to form outside key government buildings. Speakers are demanding transparency, swift prosecution, and a complete rejection of any plea deals that would allow Anthony to escape full consequences. For many, this isn't just about one act of violence. It's about a pattern they've seen play out too many times before, where fame, wealth, or influence shields individuals from facing the music. Community leaders have warned that if authorities fail to act decisively, the public's faith in the justice system, already fragile, could suffer irreparable damage. Protest organizers are calling this a defining moment, not just for the case itself, but for the broader movement toward justice and equity. As Karmelo Anthony's surrender looms, the public isn't just watching, they're demanding action. And this time, they're making it clear that apologies, statements of regret, or polished PR spins won't be enough. The message is simple but powerful. Justice must be seen. Justice must be served. The conflicting narratives coming from Karmelo Anthony's camp only add more confusion to an already tense situation. Early statements from his legal team suggested that Anthony was terrified during the incident, claiming he acted in a moment of desperation, overwhelmed by fear for his life. They painted a vivid picture of a man who was simply trying to survive, a victim of circumstances beyond his control. However, with the leaked video now dominating the conversation, those claims are falling apart in real time. Viewers are seeing a composed Anthony, not a desperate one. His actions, now visible to the entire world, seem planned rather than reactive. And that discrepancy has turned public skepticism into public outrage. Adding even more weight to the situation, insider reports suggest that Anthony's team is scrambling behind the scenes to shift their defense strategy. They're allegedly exploring psychological defenses, stress responses, and even possible past trauma. Anything that could help reframe Anthony's demeanor and actions under the eye of the law. But convincing a jury to ignore what they've seen with their own eyes? That's a mountain few defense attorneys are prepared to climb. Let's throw the question to you. If new evidence completely contradicts someone's defense story, should they be immediately charged without bail? Yes, the evidence speaks for itself. No, they still deserve a chance to explain. Not sure. Depends if more details surface. Comment below with your take. Because the reality is, in cases like these, how the public views the footage can play a huge role in shaping the courtroom battle to come. And right now, Karmelo Anthony is losing that battle before he's even walked into court. As the outrage builds, legal experts are already predicting a difficult road ahead for Karmelo Anthony. Sources close to the investigation indicate that prosecutors are gearing up to bring significant charges, potentially including second-degree murder or voluntary manslaughter. Both charges carry serious penalties, and the prosecution appears poised to lean heavily on the leaked footage to make their case ironclad. Veteran defense attorneys have weighed in publicly, admitting that while it's possible to argue technicalities or legal definitions in court, visual evidence that evokes strong emotional reactions from jurors is notoriously hard to overcome. In this case, the video doesn't just suggest wrongdoing, it shows it, frame by frame. That's why some believe the prosecution holds all the cards. The strategy now is simple. Lock in the narrative early, define the visual evidence as indisputable, and push for a trial that emphasizes emotion, morality, and community outrage just as much as legal fact. Meanwhile, Anthony's legal team is maintaining a wall of silence. No press conferences, no statements, no leaked memos or unofficial comments to the media. It's a strategy that speaks volumes, suggesting either deep uncertainty about their defense or a desperate attempt to avoid adding fuel to an already raging fire. The next few days will be critical. Prosecutors are reportedly preparing to file charges within hours of Anthony's surrender, aiming to strike while public attention is at its peak. If they succeed in framing the case effectively from the beginning, it could set a tone that Anthony's defense may find impossible to reverse. In short, the stakes could not be higher, and the clock is ticking fast into a full-scale national event. News outlets across the country are now covering the case in real time with round-the-clock updates, expert panels, and heated debates flooding television screens and social media feeds. But beneath the media frenzy lies a deeper, more painful truth. This case isn't just about Karmelo Anthony. It's about a broken system that, for many, represents a history of injustice and selective accountability. Every update, every new detail, every delay only serves to further inflame a public already teetering on the edge of complete distrust. Community leaders and activists have been quick to point out that if Anthony weren't a semi-public figure, if he were an average citizen, he likely would have been arrested on the spot. This perceived double standard is now fueling broader conversations about race, privilege, and the legal system's tendency to favor certain individuals over others. Protests have already begun to swell in multiple cities, with organizers promising that the demonstrations will continue until justice is fully delivered. Online petitions demanding maximum charges and no plea bargains are gathering tens of thousands of signatures. Influencers, celebrities, and everyday citizens are using their platforms to amplify the message: accountability or chaos. As the deadline for Anthony's surrender approaches, the tension is almost unbearable. Some fear that if authorities fumble this moment, if there is any hint of special treatment or behind-the-scenes deals, the public response could explode into unrest that stretches far beyond a single city or state. This is no longer just a legal matter. It's a litmus test for the nation's faith in fairness, justice, and equality under the law. And right now, that faith is hanging by a thread. If the process that follows feels too lenient, too slow, or too biased, it could trigger a backlash unlike anything seen in recent years. Activists and community leaders are warning that the consequences of mishandling this case could be profound, igniting deeper distrust, more intense protests, and a nationwide demand for systemic change. This isn't just a story about a man in a single moment of violence anymore. It's about the collision of truth, accountability, and public will, all broadcast live for the world to see. The next chapter is about to begin. And whatever happens, Karmelo Anthony